Mahola Mgomezulu. We are in Soweto, Club Zone 6, the first home for Jiu-Jitsu in Soweto. And yeah, this is where it all starts. This is where all our first guys who tried Jiu-Jitsu came for their first lesson. So when it started, I used to train quite a bit, but had to travel a lot for it. So you'd find I'd have to move to Ilovo, either from Midrand or Soweto twice a day, just to get sufficient training. So I decided I need to train some people on this side of town so that we can start a little camp, and if I needed to train, I don't have to travel so far for training. And as well, the cultural shock that I brought with it is coming back from training. Are you from getting beaten up again? And why? What is this thing? I'd rather punch instead of grappling with you. So I thought it was a good way to bring the sport to the people and try and educate them about it. Not only to try it out, but also to be exposed to it, not be so shocked, because you know how it's bringing people to the sport to watch. It's very hard getting people attracted to it. So once they get a knowledge of it, then I guess it's easier for them to watch and understand what's happening. Because guys would win fights and people would be like, so who won? How did he win? Why? He was on the bottom. But that's what kind of pushed me to want to introduce the sport more. Definitely. It was really tough bringing it in. But to be honest, it's always been tough even till this day. I still struggle having to explain to people. It's just the first few students who helped bridge the gap with the next student and the next student. But to be honest, I'm even scared to say this, but it's thanks to GBV that it was easier to sell the idea and explain to the weaker opponent that, look, Jiu-Jitsu could work. Even if the guy's much stronger than you, if you really apply the techniques correctly, it could work for you, right? So it was mainly through that GBV period where I think it made it easier, because people wanted to train. They didn't know what they were training, but they were interested in training. And from there, it didn't really get easier, but we got more people involved, and some people who were just eager to try it out, even though they didn't understand what it was. I think it's super important. I think it's the ultimate thing. Reason being, besides being able to protect yourself, is what I've learned, that in a community of fighters, there's a certain mutual respect that I don't know what causes this respect. This might be too much of a fight, or he might just beat me up, but there's a mutual respect. So I felt if the whole community could fight, there'll be a huge drop in confrontation in general, because people make these calculated decisions, right? They don't just I'm gonna beat you up out of the blue. It's more calculated, more educated. So I think that's why I believe it is the best thing to do for the community, is educate them in violence, and for some reason you'll see the rate of violence drop. Yeah. So on a confidence and self-defense aspect, I also believe it's rich, but the world and life and violence is so spontaneous. You can never guarantee what you have to work with at all times, but we can guarantee that it really calms down. If you walk into a room of fighters, there's a lot of testosterone there, but it's the calmest place you can actually be in the world. So I think that's the idea I took from it. Let's all educate each other, and you'll feel the mutual respect build up, and less confrontation, less uneducated, violent confrontation between each other. Okay, I've had some great kids come up in our program, and I must be honest, what's disappointing is the culture, the mentality. Some of the parents don't understand the sport, so they'll pull out the kids to go play football. My first group of kids, you might remember them, though I dream over these kids, because I always think how far they'd be. But two of the parents actually pulled them out for football. One of them I feel had the potential, that's great. The other one I went to go watch and wasn't even being called up. It was a substitute for full 90 or whatever. They played 30 minutes a game or something, but throughout the game didn't get to play. And I was disappointed, because in Jiu-Jitsu he's a star. Everyone was behind him. The guy's a crazy bar. I love this kid. They always wanted him to come back. But then there's that culture problem. We have that barrier between us and the parents where you're going to make my child fight? What is it for? And then don't forget, this is a white man's sport. Why are you having my kids? No, my kids, you want to break my kids' arm. So it's a bit complicated working with the kids in the townships. And some of the kids, then it's just about the situation of funding them. Sometimes the parents are not involved at all. And if I can't pick them up, then they can't make it to practice. And with all of that coming into consideration, I won't lie, it's really hard running the project, but I've seen such great stars come in. Like, I've spent a year with some of the kids, some 2 years and before they vanish, but I'm looking at building a structure whereas we could have the kids come in on a full-time basis, especially the ones where the parents can't cope, and we have a different system here. Kids don't get taken like to an orphanage. These kids end up living in the house alone. The mom's not there, the dad's not there, and they're just alone. The neighbors will come in and dish up for them. So these are the kind of kids I'd like to probably take out, build a little hostel for them, train them and try and educate them, because there's an education facility here as well where they're teaching the kids academic studies. So if we could mix the program, make it like a school of excellence for Jiu-Jitsu, where we have the kids staying here, we'll feed them, and hopefully this will be the future of our sport. Through them building a name and an income for themselves, we can actually grow the project further. But it's a bit hard on my own right now, because then I have to go pick up this one kid, and my star player, the parent wants him to be a footballer, doesn't really care about this jiu-jitsu stuff. So it's a bit complicated, but we've worked and we've seen kids develop. Besides that, the parents and the whole culture breakdown that we have between the community and the sport, I think we've seen a great development, like from the few kids we've had. I'd say we've got a very good and strong program going, technical. The guys do quite a bit of fitness training, so what I'd encourage and advise why you come to our program is because it's like a full all-around fitness thing, and it will help encourage. The kind of people you'll be working with here are from all walks of life. We have guys from other gyms who also come in and help and teach, so you're getting a full course from a whole lot of different coaches. Culture as well, the networking side of it is great. You're getting to talk to a lot of creatives and people in the formal and what's it called? The corporate community. So I guess as we network and link up through Jiu-Jitsu, it makes such a great environment to come and train in. For me, it would be to have a consistent program that would exist even when I'm not here. Right? I'd love to see this the Jiu-Jitsu gym first be built proper, and a whole MMA community in actual fact. I'd like to find that we have all the different types of martial arts being practiced here, and kids going through the program to the highest levels, to shows like yours, the Submission Kings, and international as well. So once that can happen without me being hands-on involved, I think I will have done my greater part. And the next biggest goal is to run a league, because we have such a huge community here. If we could collect, I'm sure we could get 1,000 athletes out of just this community alone. Run a league and have some of the biggest shows. One of my dreams to have Submission Kings in Soweto. One of your biggest fights, you need to promise me this. One of your biggest fights need to be held here. So one of the first biggest shows should be you with one of your biggest super fights in the country, and we come host it here. And once all of that is happening, and without that virtual barrier that we have, I think my job will be done.